Hello and welcome to this preview for LEGO The Hobbit Restricted Any Percent Tournament Season 2. I can't believe we've managed to get here with this. It's absolutely fantastic that we're able to put this on for the community, and it should be a really interesting competition we've got over the course of the next 4 weeks or so. We will have a lot of good races, hopefully a lot of close races, and a lot of really good runners, especially a load of new runners who have been PBing, which is very good to see. So first off, in case anyone's unsure about the format of this tournament, we can get into it over here. So the format is, the main draw is a 1v1v1 ladder format. So in each round, there will be X amount of matches. So starting with week 1, there will be 4 matches, which are seeded so that runners 1, 2, and 3 play each other, then 4, 5, 6 play each other, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then our 12th one play each other. And each week in the rung, we will have 2 runners will qualify through as the first and second seed for the first week, then third and fourth seed, so on and so on. And then 1 runner will also be eliminated, and that'll be the loser of this final rung, final race. Each match will be a 3-race series, and will be scored so that a race winner will get 3 points, second place in each race will get 1 point, and last place gets 0 points. After the 3 races, person with the most points is obviously the winner of that match. The second best is second most number of points goes second, and then third is obviously third. If there's any tie breaks, then it goes to the single fastest time in the race. That could be from any of the 3 races that are done, but the single fastest time, whoever sets that amongst the tied people, will take the win. So going into, I guess, looking at the participants themselves, obviously we have a really strong field for this, actually. We have our top 4 from the last tournament, which in order is, I believe, Hamster, myself, Laser, and Jack as the top 4. We've all returned for this tournament, although a little bit more spread out on the seeding this time, being 1, 2, 4, and 6. Because we have some very strong newcomers coming through. We have Loyalist come through, relative unknown really in the tournament, but it's been really good to see kind of their progress. We've got Mega as well, who is now the co-op record holder with Toast. So it's very cool to see venturing into the kind of solo endeavors as well. And then we have a lot of runners kind of around the between 25 and 27, Olive, Julikos, Mugen, and Dedra. We have our 5th returner from the previous iteration in the tournament, which is Origin of Chaos. Going to be a bit of an unknown in this one, mostly because it'll be his first time playing with the load remover, and also first time being playing on a PC which can actually get 60 FPS, so can do all the tricks. So it'll be interesting to see if his PB can go down quickly as the tournament progresses. And then we have our bottom 2, Nolan and Acute, will be going into our qualifier. But yeah, as you can see for the tournament, if we go back to the format, the winner gets $150, second place gets $75, third place $50, and $25 for the best newcomer. And that will be between all the runners that are marked with a star on this list of runners. Moving on to the main draw itself, we have our first set of matches here. So we'll start off, we'll talk a bit about the qualifier. Nolan against Acute. Very interesting matchup, I'd say. Both runners, if we look at their PBs, Nolan has a 30-24, Acute has a 31.46, but both of them haven't done that many runs, so it's a lot harder to read into the PB compared to what you'd read into for kind of some of the higher level runs. So I'm honestly, I'm not sure what to pick, but if you're watching this in the first couple of hours that this video is released, then the qualifier will be underway because it starts at 12 p.m. EST today, which for me is in about 4 hours time. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what either of them can cook up. Nolan, of course, is experienced with competition formats, participated in this year's Complete Saga Ladder League, has also participated in some Lego Batman events as well, so probably has a bit more experience on that front. Acute maybe less so in that respect. Obviously has done a few runs here and there, but is relatively newer to the community compared to Nolan. That being said, though, it really comes down to when the PBs are this varied, it really comes down to who has the most consistent run on the day, and that's always something that's difficult to ascertain because it's always hard to tell who has, you know, just more runs, more playtime under their belt. Generally, you'd say the person with the most playtime gets the most experience or gets the best luck here, but it can be quite difficult to gauge it. I think for this qualifier, I think it'll be a 2-1 result because they'll play best of 3. Because it's just 1v1, they'll play best of 3 matches. Once one person gets 2 wins, then they go through, and they'll take the final spot in the main draw. But yeah, I think it'll be 2-1, but I'm gonna call it and say it'll be 2-1 to Nolan. So I'll just fill that in here. But if I reckon Nolan takes that 2-1, then that'll put Nolan through and taking up this final qualifier spot right here. It's a bit of a pick based on experience more than anything. I think Nolan just has that little bit more knowledge of how to play in a tournament, not necessarily game knowledge, but has that knowledge of how to play in a tournament. Also does come in with a minute PB head start. I think there'll be a big mistake somewhere from one of them, maybe missing a gem skip or something, somewhere along the line. There'll be something. But I still believe Nolan will have the expertise in a Game 3 scenario to see it through. However, on top of that, I will say I'm gonna put a bit of a prediction down outside of the actual result itself. I think one or both of these players will be getting a sub 30 time during this qualifier match, which is a bit of a rogue call. Obviously, neither of them having a sub 30 time yet. The only two in the field that don't have a sub 30 time. But looking at it, when you're getting down to a sub 30 time, it's very easy to get drawn into unnecessary resets that you don't need to do. Because, you know, all it takes is a bit of late game consistency and something will happen. I think one of them will definitely be able to break into the 29s, maybe even a 28. Once you get down kind of below that, that's where it's not just consistency, it's about speed as well. But I think getting over that sub 230 or sub 30 threshold will be pretty huge for one and or both of them. But yeah, with that qualifier out the way, we'd obviously move into the week 1 of the draw. Obviously starting from Monday, which is 2 days from now as this video is released. We'll be seeing 4 runs for this first week, or 4 races for this first week, and the way all of them are going to go will be quite interesting. I think once again, we'll start off from the bottom and work our way up. So we'll start off with this first match, which will be Dedra versus Origin versus who I'm predicting to be Nolan. Although I'm not entirely sure on that one. This will be a tough match. Obviously, the qualifier that comes in will be definitely not the favorite, because they'll have to make up basically a 3-minute PB deficit to both of these runners, which is very not easy to do in course of maybe a few days between the qualifier match and when that match comes out. The question is whether I predict the qualifier to make the main bracket and then immediately get eliminated, and a lot of that comes up to the question mark, which is Origin of Chaos. Origin's played this game a while. Obviously competed in the first tournament, was one of the first ones to kind of grind it down. Has also, when we showed it off at ESA, we did a lot of runs in the practice room and such for this game, so he's very well versed in how the run actually works, which tends to lead towards more consistency. But then again, playing with a new PC setup, some of that consistency will be out the window. Having access to new strats doesn't necessarily mean you're consistent at new strats. So there's a bit of a question mark over that. Dedra, on the other hand, I expect Dedra to put in a very strong performance. Dedra had a massive PB to avoid being in the qualifier, down to a 27.02, which actually leapfrogs him to 9th on the ranking here. Leapfrogging Mugen here. But it's very difficult to tell. I think Dedra's going to win 2 matches, but I don't think Dedra will win all 3. I think I'll probably put Dedra down, having, I think, maybe 6 out of the possible 9 points, which means winning 2 matches and coming 3rd in the 3rd match. And I think we'll probably be winning the first match, 3rd in the 2nd match, and then winning the 3rd or something. Definitely the favourite for this, but I think with these runners, it's quite easy to see an implosion happen somewhere along the line, just with how many tricks and how much variance there can be in certain stuff. Looking at Origin now, I expect Origin to kind of pick up the pieces where Dedra leaves off. But I do expect Origin to have a kind of implosion somewhere along the line as well, and will have a last place finish. Probably. Which means I'm going to give Origin 4 points here. And that, of course, leaves our qualifier Nolan to pick up 2 points. Let me check that maths works. 3 for the wins, and then 1 for each 2nd place. Yeah. So I expect our qualifier to get a couple of 2nd places here, but I think it's a bit too much to ask to say beating both runners if they have a 2-minute PB advantage. So it's a bit of 50-50, but that's kind of what I'm expecting for this match. I think it will be close though, and I think we will definitely get a couple close finishes in there, especially with 3 runners, but I just think it'll be a step too far for our qualifier to come through and win a race. So moving on to the next one, we have Olive, Julikos, and Mugen. So obviously Olive has PB'd recently, 25.55, clear favourite in this one. Once again, and the differential in PB, be it a minute 40 between Olive and Mugen in this game, on this run, if anything, I'd say that's probably better. Like, it means more than the gap between Dedra and the qualifiers. Just because it's that bit lower, it's that bit more consistent, most importantly. Like, Olive has been a bit distracted. Obviously, was doing, I think, Star Wars The Complete Saga prequels for, I think it was the Fastest Place on Earth marathon. This weekend, or yesterday, I think it was. So it's been a little bit distracted, but I'd still expect that consistency to shine through. Julikos is not too far behind, though. That's the thing. 26.32 is still a very, very respectable run. So that, I think, will play into each other. Mugen is definitely the underdog going into this, being a minute further back from both of them. That definitely is harder to make up, but I could see, again, I could see a few, you know, upsets where being a minute behind, you know, one player misses gem skip and all of a sudden that's, you know, you go from being expected to be a minute behind to being expected to be 20 seconds up. It's there could be quite a few swings like that in this game. So I think something like that will happen. Whether it happens to both Julikos and Olive in one particular run remains to be seen. But I could see a scenario here where all three end up winning one match each. But I think I'm more likely to back Olive to get more second places. I think it will be close this one, and I think it definitely will be down to the last race. But I could see myself, if Olive gets a win and 2 second places, that would be 5 points. Julikos picks up a win and a second place, that's 4 points, and Mugen picking up just the win and 2 third places to get 3 points. That's the one I have earmarked for being super, super close between, or has potential to be close between all 3 runners. But Olive does have the consistency difference, and I think that'll make a decent, or that'll have a decent effect on the outcome of this particular draw. Moving on to the second rung, and this rung is very, very crucial because you want to finish in the top 2 of this rung, absolutely. Top 2 is phenomenal work if that can happen, because it means you're in a qualifying match for the next rung. There's no benefit to finishing first rather than finishing second, because you'll end up in the same rung, because no matter what, you can only move up a maximum of 1 rung. That being said, is there anyone else that can compete with Laser in this rung? Laser is just on another level at the moment. I mean, obviously took second place off of me not too long ago, after seeding closed actually with the 23-32. Definitely at the moment the second strongest runner we have in this competition. I think this has to be a sweep for Laser. I'll be honest, seeing the consistency as well that Laser can pull out like 23 pace runs. I think Mega and Jack are at a huge disadvantage compared to that, and it's the same thing again, that like minute difference between Laser and Mega is bigger than the minute difference between Julikos and Mugen. I think Laser picks up all 9 points here, which then leaves the difference between Mega and Jack, who have very similar PBs. If you look at Mega with the 24-48 and Jack with the 25-15, both very similar, but Mega has obviously got a lot of co-op experience, but that doesn't always translate one-to-one into solo experience. So some weaknesses with 1P2C, I think there will be a capacity to snowball. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Jack, on the other hand, has had an incredible run of consistency. Absolutely phenomenal run of consistency. I'm just going to read out some of Jack's last runs, because I think this PB needs updating, but he hasn't uploaded anything to the boards. But Jack, 24 or 25-14 as a PB, followed by a 25-16, with 4 runs maybe in between that being between 25-14 and 25-18. Then a 25-08, and then a 25-09, and a 25-10, and then a 25-20. There is nothing that screams consistency like that, which is really good for Jack because it's so close to PB, and it means the PB potential is definitely there. I think Jack is one I'd earmark for getting a PB during the tournament itself, like right here, probably in this first bracket. Maybe break the sub 25 barrier just by doing 3 no resets. It's very possible. Mega, on the other hand, I think that's tough to go up against. That's really tough to go up against. I don't know how good Mega's PB is fully relative to like raw potential and summer best and stuff. So it's difficult to tell, but I think Jack probably has the edge over Mega here. I think Jack's going to pick up 2 second places here, just based on consistency. Mega might have the one, sub 25 run. But I think I'd favor Jack to go through, which is unfortunate for Mega. I think Mega's in a ridiculously difficult rung to be in. Because on one side you've got phenomenal pace from Laser, and on the other side you've got phenomenal consistency from Jack. It's kind of between a rock and a hard place for Mega, but that's how it goes sometimes. Mega still, with a loss, Mega will still be in the tournament. That's not a problem. But yeah, just a difficult situation to be in. And then we move into the final rung, which is Hamster, myself, and Loyalist. And I will make this disclosure before we start. I do not like having to try and rank myself and kind of give an honest evaluation of myself during this kind of things. But here we are. I'm this far in. I might as well keep going with it. But no, I've got to be completely realistic. As much as I'd want to give myself 9 points and go, oh yeah, I'm gonna sweep, I'm not a match compared to Hamster right now. Hamster is phenomenal, absolutely insane. Obviously got the 2302 PB, pushing for anything lower than that. I'm 40 seconds off the pace. Loyalist is nearly a minute off the pace. I think Hamster will pick up 2 wins here quite comfortably, and that will be enough to qualify for top 8 as first seed. I think there's no question in that. But what I do think is I think Hamster will have the third race or something, pressure's off. No matter what happens, Hamster will qualify. And I don't want to say Hamster will meme about, but we'll probably go for something a bit more alternative as a strategy, let's say. Kind of mix it up a bit, or stick doing a trick that isn't working and, just do his thing from there, really. That's kind of what I'm expecting off of Hamster. So I think he will drop points in one of the 3 matches. Probably the third match. But I think it will still be enough for second, so I think I'd give him 7 there. And that leaves the difference between myself and Loyalist to pick up the scraps. Loyalist, obviously, is an insane unknown. Has only submitted 2 runs to the boards. The first one was a 25-0 something PB, and then the 2358. There's been a few runs in between, but phenomenal unknown to this. But obviously, as a result of that, consistency is also phenomenally unknown. It could be a matter of, this guy just gets it. Just completely understands what needs to be done and can just replicate it over and over again and is incredibly consistent with that. Or it could be a case of, I don't want to say, one lucky run, but it could be a case of throwing a lot at the wall and seeing what sticks, essentially. But I don't think we'll know Loyalist's true pace for a while. I think right now, if Hamster wins the first 2 runs, I think me and Loyalist will split second and third for the others. So we'd have 1 point each going into the final race, which means whoever beats the other one will, qualify for top 8 as second seed. And I would like to favor myself in that kind of situation. I think I have a little bit more tournament experience, whatever. So I think I'll have that ability to just be able to pick up the scraps a little bit better there, and that'll be the only difference. Yeah, it'll be close. I think I could see that final race coming down to a matter of 20 seconds or something. Just if Hamster gets a lead and then, I don't know, starts throwing on Jack launch or something, and then both me and Loyalist are pretty much tied, and it comes down to who gets Jack launch quickest or something to be able to take it. I back myself in that kind of situation to just be able to sneak over the line, but it's going to be incredibly close. I think that'll be a really difficult one to try and work out who wins what. But with that being said, that is week 1 fully predicted. So if we take the results from that forwards, that would mean that the Hamster wins. The Hamster goes through to the top 8 playoffs as the number 1 seed. I would come in second with the 2nd seed. And then sorting out what the rungs would look like here. So we have our rung 2 first place, which would be Flaming Laser to go there. Rung 2 second place, which would be Jack to go there. Rung 3 first place, which would be Olive, which I think would be a huge result for Olive to get through there. And that would be a really good rung for week 2. I actually wouldn't be able to call which way that one went, so I kind of want to see that happen. And then we have our rung 1 third, which is a Loyalist. It is a tough break coming third in any of these rungs. Like, you get punished quite a lot, so Loyalists will have to then wait for a while to be able to get through to the top 8. But that's the way it goes, eh? And then we have our rung 3 second place, which would be Julikos. And our rung 4 first place, which would be Dedra. I think this would be a real test for Loyalist consistency, really, because theoretically on paper you'd expect Loyalist to be able to come through that match, but Julikos and Dedra I think will be close enough to be able to put some question marks on there if it gets to that point. And then finally we have our bottom rung for next week, which would be our rung 2 third place, which is Mega. Again, tough break for Mega, but a win and you're straight back in the top rung and have a shot at redemption, so it's not doom and gloom. Rung 3 third place, which is Mugen. And then our rung 4 second place, which would be Origin. And I think that looks like a good bracket to me. I could definitely see that happening. I think I might have cooked for this one. We'll see how absolutely phenomenally wrong I am at the end of this week. I'll be doing a week review at some point. But yeah, no, we'll see how that goes. Until then, yeah, that is what I'm predicting for week 1. Make sure you watch the races at twitch.tv/LEGO Speedruns. And yeah, see you guys for the next one.